This podcast is brought to you by Media8.
Have you ever seen such chaos?
Are we ready to start?
I was always started.
Thought this
Heaps better way to
was the
start.
best content we've
Ever produced.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Corner, the only place where you get three fat blokes and an ex-England cricket captain telling athletes how shit they are and how they do well sometimes. This week we're less one fat bloke, but we've still got three fat blokes. How's that work?
I thought you were missing the England cricketer.
Yeah, Rob's an Aussie. So are you.
So Big Bad Rob's off this week, so we're going to kick along without him. So our AFL piece may be a bit shorter. I think Chris wants it to be shorter anyway.
Well, yeah, I actually went to the game.
Yeah, that's amazing. We'll get to that shortly, and I think it'll be a very short conversation.
Yep.
Anyway, this week's opening question: who is the most underrated Australian athlete of all time? I love putting you guys on the spot.
You could have given us a chance to think about it. There'd be so many
Oh,
of them.
this is how underrated he is. I forget his name.
Okay.
But he's the 21-time world champion, the woodchopper bloke.
Oh yeah.
No, he's not underrated. The sport's just not.
The sport's not there.
Yeah. Well, that's the two different topics, but I like
fuck.
it.
But you guys
shat
are
on-
like, yeah. Well, if he's a
This is shat
21-time
on
world
my-
champion,
yeah.
everyone should know who he is. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's David. Something.
Yeah, but what you're saying is there's not a bloke out there who's won 17 who wood chopping competition who gets more credit.
Yeah,
it's like
no.
the
It's just
sport's
no
not
one.
covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's-
But also a 21-time world champion in anything's pretty fucking amazing.
yeah, I think so.
21
One-time world champion's
Yeah,
pretty
well,
good.
exactly. I've been best in the world for 21 years and no one knows who I am.
Oh, best in the world for like one day is a good effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's yours, Smokes?
Oh, man, I'm going to go Stuart McGill.
Stuart McGill. Wrong time, wrong place.
Wrong time, wrong place. Man, what a genius that guy was. I was probably one of the worst players of leg spin that's ever walked the earth, which is well known.
Yeah.
Well, everyone knows that.
You left it.
Obviously.
But, there's an argument to say he was better than Warren.
Well, I was going to face him, because you've obviously faced both of them. One you let go.
Let's just say that I'm not going to surprise anyone by saying I fucking struggled with both of them.
Why was McGill so good?
He spun it more. He had a better Google.
Why didn't he take 700 wickets?
Well, I think he would have.
You do, if it wasn't for Warney.
The problem is there was the other bloke at the other end. So the only difference, I think McGill's a better bowler in attacking conditions. The only thing I think that Warney has over McGill is Warney was the guy you could bring on. You win the toss, you bowl. It's a green wicket and it's not suiting spin at all. He could just come on and under just the worst conditions for spin and bowl.
Still get wickets?
Well, not get wickets, but just he inevitably did. But he would just bowl 10 overs for 15 runs.
Yeah, okay, so
and he
stop
could
the runs.
Yeah, he could just bowl in those really bad, whereas McGill probably didn't quite have that. I mean, I'm saying that he wasn't bad, but with Australia on top, I actually think McGill is a better bowler in that scenario, which they were a hell of a lot of the time. So, but where Warney's greatness is, you put in on an attack, you get put in a situation where it's not suiting the bowlers. He just keeps it dry. You don't go for runs, and Australia builds pressure through McGrath at the other end, and whereas McGill,
Bad combination.
Well, all those guys always talk about bowling in partnerships.
yeah.
And someone dries up the runs at one end, and then
The other guy's
someone
attacking the wicket.
nicks off.
Well, there's a crazy stat, which I think Bob Simpson, who was the coach at the time when Australia started their great run of winning, he worked out that the chances of getting a wicket after 3 maidens is 80% higher than if you just bowled 3 overs.
Because the batsmen are nervous, under pressure.
You just don't like not scoring runs. You want to score. So then that's become the sort of template for world cricket now. And we adopted it at Surrey and throughout the late 90s and that. And then now every team that I've gone back to be involved coaching, it's like, it's the template for how to play
It's just
cricket.
what you
So,
do.
I mean, it's not. I think it was articulated by that side in the 90s, but I think the West Indies inadvertently did it throughout the 70s just by having 4 guys bowling thunderbolts at your head with no helmets, and there was just no chance to score.
Yeah.
Bodyline, I guess, was based on the same thing as well.
The 20s, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
That's a great series.
you saw it live.
No, the TV series they made.
I watched it live.
Yeah,
I was there live. No, Rob was.
yeah.
Okay, well, mine's Stephen Bradbury. Because to me, Stephen Bradbury, like, he may have fallen across the line, won the gold medal, but to get to the final, and like he always gets.
He fell over in the semi and the quarters as
No,
well.
I get that, but what I'm saying, he still made the Olympics. He still
Yeah.
got through. He trained his nuts off all that time, but now he's only known as the bloke that fell over the line.
He's got a beer.
He has got a beer, last man standing.
Yeah, I think I had some at
Was it good?
the Storybridge Hotel.
Nice.
Not too bad.
Were you standing at the time,
I'd
or were you laying on the floor?
I'd had 40 others, so
But I reckon he's
Anything.
not
it was just
given.
hydration at that stage.
I reckon he's become more of a joke than given the credit for the athlete that he was.
Mate, I have to say that he's done all right out of
I'll be being the joke because he accepted it and it kind of grew.
yeah,
in
that
the
and that
end.
kind of became popular
His
off the
thing,
back of it.
yeah.
I think if he'd got what he deserved, he might have. I don't know ice skating intimately, obviously, but I reckon he might have come 5th or 6th, or maybe not even got to the final.
Yeah.
but be credit for going there. But I think
Everyone else fell over. He dodged them.
he did it in the
Great sidestep
When I
twice.
saw it, I only saw it when I only saw it when he won the gold.
Yeah.
So
No, the
I was-
semi was worse.
Yeah, well, I didn't know this, so I'm watching the gold. I'm like, oh, this guy's so look how imagine that. And then they said, oh, by the way, this is what happened in the semi, and this is what happened in the quarter. I was like, he shouldn't have even made it out of the quarter final.
That's what happens, isn't it?
You got to be in it to win it. You can't win the lotto without a ticket.
You can't.
There you go. It's a philosophy from
Yeah.
the ex-England cricket captain and creator and producer of Australia's Greatest Athlete. Okay, thanks to our sponsors, Official Beer Co, Platinum Standard Grading, Local Card Shop, Media8 Sports. This week, we're going to be talking about NBA Finals, Wemby to the Spurs. Griff says goodbye. Playing cricket in a volcano again because we forgot to talk about that last week. Boxing in Guatemala. Delivery of the Keg Bet. We'll get to that. And some other sports crap. So here we go. NBA Finals. Christopher, we're both donning the Lakers, although
I'm
yours is
South Bay. I'm the
South.
G League. I'm the affiliate team.
But there's 4 teams left.
They're playing right now. I think the Lakers are losing to the Nuggets game 1.
So Lakers, Nuggets, and who's the other side?
Celtics and the Miami Heat,
And is it?
I believe.
Is it the Heat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You're making me question myself. I'm like, yeah, it
Because
is.
the Celtics beat 76ers in the last round. That's right. So what? Who you got in both sides? It's got to be Celtics, Lakers, doesn't it?
Nuggets, Celtics, I believe.
Nuggets, Celtics.
I just can't believe the team you've gone out there and all the names you can choose have called themselves the Nuggets.
Well, Denver Nuggets.
Denver, gold.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
That's not the thing
Not
that
like
springs
shit
to-
nuggets.
Yeah. Well,
There's a shout out to Swampy for this to a great trivia question. But I believe there's 9 teams in the top 4 American sports, and their team name doesn't end in an S. Can you name them? So across ice hockey, baseball, NFL, NBA,
there's only
there's
4
only
teams.
9 teams, I
9
think,
teams.
that don't end in an S.
Well, what's the NBA? How many in the NBA?
3, 4.
Jesus.
Well, you said one or no.
Yeah, they're all in S.
Yeah.
Everyone I can think of.
Mate,
Do you know what they are?
I know some of them.
Come on
The Jazz.
then. Jazz, yeah.
Heat.
That's an S.
Yeah.
Probably. He probably thinks so.
You're sitting there going, why is it not an S?
Thunder.
Thunder.
And then there's some ice hockey teams like the Kraken.
That's a
Bloody
great
hell.
question, though.
He's a crash.
Well done, Swampy.
Because then you go through the NFL. I'm pretty sure there's no NFL teams. There's 32 teams and they're all end in S.
There you go.
The more interesting thing,
Nice,
someone's
random.
actually sat down and bothered to work that out.
Work that out, yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty impressive.
it is.
Be a lot of beer
Good
or
research.
a lot of the other stuff. Okay, and then, so who you got winning it then?
I like the Nuggets.
See, we're going to have another keg on this.
No.
You can't drink that much beer.
I can't even drink a keg.
Oh, yeah, I got Celtics. I've picked the Celtics from
Have you?
everyone. So it's just since we saw them play last year, it was just insane.
They lost.
No, but this is we saw
You
him
didn't
play
even
some-
see him. You passed out.
Is this the game you told me about where he was
This is where I
literally
fell asleep,
dribbling?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I didn't dribble
And-
once.
and-
I fell
and they
asleep.
lost.
And they did lose.
They lost to the Heat.
Yeah.
Ever since I saw them.
No, but we saw him play twice,
saw
and
him-
the
we did
second
see him
time,
twice,
yeah, and it was just pretty much.
No, Chris saw them twice. You saw them
Yeah.
I was
once.
on 1.5.
Yeah. No, they did beat the Lakers in LA. The second game we saw.
And massive news today that the Spurs have got the number 1 draft picked.
Yep.
Explain to us how this fucking thing works. I got
No, I
no idea.
So I think it's like
It's like a raffle.
yeah, it's a raffle, but it's like the 10 teams with the worst record,
Yeah.
and then I guess the lower position.
Is it a spinny wheel or what is it?
No, I think the lower position you finish, you get more of a percentage of a chance. I don't know how they work it out. Whether
Okay.
they just draw numbers.
It's like Duckworth Lewis, basically.
Yeah, it's
So it's just something to make the nerds feel like they're involved.
yeah, and it's to
But it's so
to
big.
encourage parity, to try and even it out, so the
Yeah.
good teams get the bad teams get something at the end.
So this is just for pick number 1.
Number one,
Does that?
I think they do the whole. They do. I think it's like 15, maybe. So
yeah,
they-
1 through 15. Yeah,
15,
that's right.
15 to 1.
But then do they? Is that classed as one of your picks though, or is it additional? Do you know?
It's additional.
So the Spurs have got like something like 20 picks in the first round next year, and the number 1 pick.
And
So
the
they're going to
number
go right.
They don't have salary caps, do they?
They do have like luxury taxes. So if you pay over, they do have a salary cap. If you pay over, you've got to pay a percentage of the tax.
To
And
where?
you pay it to the league, don't
I
you?
guess to the league.
Yeah. And then the leagues give it to all the other teams.
It's so fucking complicated.
So on that, what do we think about English Premier League football? Like 0 salary cap, 0
Is it
draft.
they have that financial fair play rubbish.
But no one, I don't think anyone bothers.
Has
to
anyone ever been pulled up on that?
They've been pulled up, but nothing ever happens. Like
yeah,
halfway
like,
through
don't
the
do
year,
that. Okay, we won't.
Yeah,
Well, Man City, wasn't it? They were going to get relegated.
yeah,
and all this
halfway
shit,
through
and then
the year, like a story will come out. Oh, City to be stripped of 9 points or whatever, and
never happens.
fined $1 billion. And
Well, $1 billion is not much for those
play
guys anyway.
on boys, and then they sign someone. There have been sanctions. Like I think Chelsea got in trouble a couple of years back where they
Yeah.
couldn't sign anyone for
18 months.
four transfer windows or something.
But it's interesting though, isn't it? Because you'd say the English Premier League's pretty well followed still.
Yeah,
So you think like the idea of all these other leagues adopting that as a premise is to say, oh, you don't want it to become unfair, one side winning it all the time, but English Premier League's as well followed as any league in the world.
yeah, you're right.
So that's kind of, I just throws a counter argument out there to.
Well, I think that's sort of the brilliance of that season that Leicester had.
Mm. Oh
Whereas
yeah,
they were just minnows.
blokes
the
on
fir-
$100 a week.
It's probably the first time that's happened,
Oh,
maybe
only.
ever.
And last.
Yeah. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Incredible.
So with this first round pick, they're going to pick, obviously, Victor.
You would imagine so.
You'd imagine.
There'll be a lot of dealings between now and then, people trading up to get, because like there's a guy number 2, we're projected to go number 2, that he's fucking amazing as well.
But Victor, why? Who is he? What? He's French.
Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
He's 7'2".
7'2".
7'2". I think he's taller because he's stood next to Rudy Gobert, who's 7'1",
Yeah.
and he's more than a foot tall. He looked more than a foot taller.
Wouldn't be a foot. You sent me an inch.
Sorry, an inch.
He to be an
sorry.
8-footer.
Yeah, an inch. He looked massive. Like I've seen the photo, I was like, wow, that's like almost a head taller.
Yeah.
Only
okay.
basketballers do the opposite to what every other sports
Yeah,
person
exactly.
does. We've got our
Inch to
program
feet.
weight and height, and then like the basketballers just put themselves as shorter.
Yeah.
But
Well,
and he can shoot. He can shoot the three.
he can handle. He's been playing professional basketball for a couple of years, similar to Luca. He's played in Europe.
Yep.
So
They reckon they call him once in a generation.
yeah, well,
That gets thrown around a bit these days, doesn't it?
There's a lot of generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair call.
yeah, that happens when you're old. There's just more generations.
Wow, I walked straight into that, didn't I?
But they say like they're calling this guy an alien. Like I think LeBron called him an alien. He's like, once in a while you get a unicorn. This guy's an alien.
So better than the unicorn.
Well, yeah,
So what's rarer, a unicorn or an alien? Alien.
Alien, I would expect.
well,
Yeah, right.
probably a unicorn, depending on who you talk to. If you're
If you're,
If you're on drugs, if you're on drugs, it's a unicorn.
Area 51, mate. I've seen those UFO videos.
can he be that good, this bloke?
Yeah.
Is he going to do like a Chet? Because
Well,
Chet Holmgren obviously went at number 2 last year, I think he was. And he's a 7-footer that could shoot. And we watched him at Summer League last year, and he could play.
I think the difference is Chet wasn't playing professional. He was playing in
so he's
college.
already a professional, you mean?
He's already a professional. So, yeah, I don't know. He's bloody silky. He can do everything.
Yeah.
And defensively, like you see what happens with tall guys, what they do to guys that are in form. They just make everything more difficult to shoot. So, like, defensively, he will be amazing, you would imagine. He just has to bulk up, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot of these blokes, isn't it?
Yeah, when the kids...
It's easy.
I know I started and haven't stopped.
The three of us have got that bet down pat.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, though, like... Does he? Because he didn't even bother with the combine, the draft combine or whatever.
He didn't bother?
No, because he was playing. He's been
Oh,
playing
because he gets in that way.
Yeah. So I wonder if he'll play in Summer League.
I imagine the crowds are going to be wicked if he does.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Especially for the Spurs.
Yeah, because I know, like, Chet, a few guys, like Banchero played not Magic Round, Summer League.
Similar, yeah.
Chet did as well, but Chet got injured and then missed the whole season. So do you run the risk or do you just... You know,
I think you got to throw him in there against some NBA players because the NBA is a bit different to European League, though.
It is.
And
the NBA is easier to score in.
Yeah, exactly. And yesterday he signed his first ever trading card. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And he actually wrote on the card, "My first ever signature on a trading card."
What's that going to make it more valuable?
100%.
10 times.
Yeah, at least
right.
Because then.
So he's up to speed with the whole.
Yeah, he was. The photo that he took was with Michael Rubin, who is a bloke that runs Fanatics that owns all the companies.
Oh, okay. So do you reckon that he's kept that card? I know Golden was after it.
I think they'll put a bounty on it of like, 2, 3, 4 million.
Holy shit! It's similar to my card, hey.
It was, yeah.
Minus the million, and just
two, 3 or 4.
and people talking about it on podcasts around the world.
Yeah.
So he will obviously be called the young goat as he goes in, but like Trey Young and all those sort of guys, they reckon we're going to come through, and they still haven't.
No, well, he's dropped off massively.
Well, a lot of these guys, like Zion, all these
Zion's
guys that
injured.
were going to be the next biggest thing, either get injured or don't come to it.
Or they show themselves on Instagram with a gun.
Yeah, that was
Twice.
interesting. So Ja Morant this week come out again, didn't he, with another gunshot? Not physical, but photo.
No, a video of him in a car with a gun.
They're fuckwits, aren't they?
Wow. Yeah.
Sportsman.
Mate, athletes, we go there again. So it's like a common theme on a sports show. We're talking about athletes.
Should do a thing next
So
week.
way more importantly than any of this stuff is that the one and only Adam Hollioake a couple of weeks ago was in Bali.
I'm going to
Jakarta.
Sorry, in Jakarta.
Jakarta.
Played cricket in a volcano.
Volcano, mate, yeah.
How many did you get?
Oh, one.
Get it?
One.
How'd you get?
I got run out by Graham Yallop.
Really?
Wow.
On purpose?
Graham Yallop's 105.
Yeah.
And he
What, he outran you?
no, he just did he came out and he said, "Look, mate, not too much running." And I said, well, "Look at the state of me. I don't think I'm going to be doing much running." And then he hit one all the way out to the boundary, and he said, two. So I'm like trying to run at his pace. I'm slow, but he's, like I said,
Slower.
he's old. And then he went two. So he ran one, and then he came back a quarter of the way back, and then I think he realised, I don't think it was whether he was going to make it. Like for speed, it was just whether he was actually physically going to make to the other end. So he said he got a quarter of the way back, and then just went and then just turned his back. By this stage, I'm trying to turn around, like trying to turn around.
Was there a
It was it was like one of those Royal Caribbean liners trying to turn around, and then and I was out by 5 yards.
So who was the game against?
It was against a local side. It was a local, all the best players in Jakarta.
Yeah.
So in our side we had Ross Taylor. He had to retire at 30.
Years old or
25 runs you had to retire. Ross Taylor retired after 5 balls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he's still got it.
He's
only just retired.
He's just literally played like a month ago. So, like he made it look easy.
Yeah.
And then the rest of us guys have been, Joe Burns, I think he whacked a few as well. But me and Mark Greatbatch and Graham Yallop, not so good.
Did you have to leave the Zimmer frame at the side of the pitch? Or?
No, I got a couple of wickets.
You had a bowl, yeah?
Yeah, I got a few wickets. Yeah.
What were you bowling?
Bowling off spinners, but the pitch was. Well, I've never bowled on a volcano before, so I'm here to say that it spins off the
rocks.
Yeah,
I'd imagine that the surface would be fucking dog shit, wouldn't it?
He's done well. There's a guy up there called Robert Baldwin, who's a Kiwi, who went up there, I'm going to say, I'm making stuff up now, but 40, 50 years ago. He'd probably be getting towards 70, I'd say. And I might have done him a disservice. He might be 60. But
just a rough life.
Yeah. But it started off when I first went up there 10 years ago. The pitch was probably, I'm going to say, the size of 4 tennis courts.
Yep.
Which is fairly small for a cricket pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And he had fencing all the way around the outside on a sheer cliff.
In a volcano.
Well, it's an extinct volcano. But it's just so he levelled it.
You wouldn't want to feel like Rumble, would you?
No, he levelled, well, yeah. You wouldn't know much about it. Anyway, he levelled it and made it nice. But then each year what he's done during the off-season is got a bobcat and he's pushed more off the edge, pushed the top off and made, obviously he pushed the stuff down the side.
It gets bigger and bigger.
It gets bigger and bigger. So now it's a decent size. But I'm going to say it's 6 times bigger than it was when I first went up there.
Oh, wow.
And the cliff is nowhere near
and
as
now
big.
you're older, so you wanted it to be smaller again.
Exactly. I'd much rather be playing on the small one. So, so it's an amazing setup he's got there.
And that's for a charity?
For charity, for an orphanage up there that we all support. So it's it's a great week. We go up there. So we go up there. It's a good expat community. So we usually take a cricketer from each country.
Yep.
The expats from there bid to play golf, a round of golf.
Did you play golf?
I played golf.
How'd you go?
Terrible. But the thing is, this year it wasn't at an actual golf course. He just set
on
up
a volcano.
Yeah, on the volcano. Yeah, no, he just set up. He just drilled some holes and mowed a thing out, and it was like chipping.
It's an all-purpose pitch.
Pitch and putt. Yeah, it worked. It was.
Love it.
It was good. It saved me. There's no bushes for me to hit the ball in, or bunkers, or it was perfect. So I mean, so these guys, expats, played to play with each athlete, and then the next day we had the game. Usually some years he's had 6 aside, so you have a company pays for one athlete.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's been pretty successful.
Awesome. So it was fun though as well?
Yeah, it was fun, yeah.
How many cans did you have after it?
Yeah, a few. So it's quite a distance from the ground back into Jakarta, and the traffic, anyone who's been to Jakarta, it's the worst traffic in the world.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of drinking time on the way back
on
into
the
Jakarta.
road.
Did you get us a Bintang singlet or anything?
I got one, yes, for myself.
I haven't seen that in the office yet, actually. That's pretty impressive.
No.
It's been raining the last few days.
Yeah, good point.
I was looking for Bintang hoodies. So.
That would have just come back to winter. Yeah. So speaking of this, like overseas stuff, one of the weirdest experiences of my life to date is I had the pleasure of, and Christopher was with me, spending the day with the ambassador for Guatemala the other day, and then we obviously had lunch and a catch up with him. Great man, Ronald. And we spoke about different opportunities and things that we could do with Guatemala. And for those that don't know, Guatemala is a Latin American country based about here with America there and Mexico there.
So it's just south of Mexico, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit north
of Colombia.
And Costa Rica and Nicaragua. I know that because I watched that movie with Tom Cruise where he flies all the money and drugs in there. But, we had a great meeting with him, and we're talking about doing some boxing there. And one of the things that we just started to discuss, and you brought up, Adam, was that obviously training at altitude and the difference that makes. There could be a really big opportunity here that we do with the country of Guatemala and his local village to put the boxing gym up there and do some training. What is it about altitude stuff? Like, explain that to me.
Like the fire, no, it just makes you feel tired. I don't know the
because you're higher and there's less air or something.
I think so. Excuse me, the scientists out there, the people who actually know what they're talking about.
How many fucking scientists you reckon listen to us?
How many people, full stop?
Well, yeah, say there's 100. How many scientists? Yeah, say there's 100.
None.
Well,
You
Okay,
never
then.
know.
All right, then.
You've just degraded our whole audience.
Exactly.
They may all
Well,
be
if you're a
They could all be
scientist out there,
scientists.
fucking hit me up.
They could all be scientists. Imagine.
I'll issue a
Bond
fucking,
University scientists. You've got to listen to these fucking fat bastards.
I will issue an apology
Formal
to
apology.
formal apology to
every scientist.
One fucking scientist. I want to see the actual documentation.
What about your keg? Give
No,
your keg
We'll
up.
get
No,
there. We'll get there.
No, will you give it up though for the scientists?
Nah, fuck that.
He'll just say
You
sorry.
nerds. Fucking nerds.
So have you ever trained at altitude?
Once.
Never again.
Yes, fucking hell.
Get
No, when I
fucked.
say once, every year, for about our pre-season used to be in a place called Pretoria in South Africa, which is about an hour and a half's drive from Johannesburg, which is also at altitude.
Yeah.
I'd trained as hard as I'd ever trained in my life in Perth leading up to it. Everyone else would come from England, but they got there a few days earlier. And there's this thing in cricket back in those days anyway, where you turn up and you want to show how
You're already
what you've been
fit, you're
doing,
ready
you're
to-
ready to go. And
I've got one.
so I turned up and I did a lap, warm-up lap, just the old-fashioned one lap of the oval, and I was literally like bent over, panting like. Oh, then the guys hadn't told me, and I was like, "What is going on? I think I'm having an asthma attack." And then so they pointed out that they had all been through the same thing. But
3 days earlier.
Yeah, it was altitude. Yeah. So there's interesting. There's a couple of ways of dealing with it. You either fly in. So let's say you're fighting, so you actually fly in the night of, or the day of, or the day before, and fight. That's one way, and apparently then it doesn't affect you as much. Once you've been there a day or so, then it affects you. I don't understand the science. That's one way of people approach it, and the other way is to be there for a week and acclimatise to it.
Before, yeah.
Yeah. So
We want everyone to go there for a week because obviously we'll own the boxing gym and they can come and pay us to train there.
but yeah, and it doesn't affect you the other way. So when you come back,
because
you're
that's
good.
one thing that I did get out of our whole conversations with Ronald was the fact that he was saying that at altitude when you're drinking, you get
smashed.
pissed quicker. So because he's been doing that all his life, when he comes down from out of the yard, it's like he can just keep going.
That's why I drank half our profits out
Exactly,
down at
at the yard. Oh, classic.
Yeah, but it's amazing. It's quite interesting, isn't it? When you in that meeting the other day with Ronald, we were there, and you start asking questions about, what are some of the features of Guatemala? Like, I wouldn't know the first thing about it before that meeting, and then you start here, and then everyone starts problem solving, and then before you know it, the room sort of come to a common kind of thing that this would be the best thing to do. It's quite interesting watching the way.
Here's some
watching
options
everyone
and stuff like
problem
that.
solving,
Yeah, I think within like 20 or 30 minutes, we decided, well, we've got to just go there.
Yeah.
So, like, within half an hour, we decided, well, we're going to Guatemala.
Mm.
Whereas before, I don't know if you guys had ever even thought about it.
I'd never. I thought before I met that guy, I thought that was something I had on my bloody burrito. It was like guacamole.
No
I
racism
know,
on this
mate.
podcast.
That's not racism.
That's actually
Guacamole.
funny when I
Who used that? Someone
Greeny.
used Greeny.
yeah, when Greeny
Did he
met
use
him
it?
at the thing,
It
he
was
comes in
similar,
and goes,
sort of
he goes,
stupidity.
"Oh shit! I thought that you got to have that on my toast of a morning or something."
Is that your Greeny impersonation?
Hey, what do you like that? Oh. I'm gonna be more laid back though.
Sounds like one of Adam's kids.
Oh, so yeah, big stuff happening in Guatemala, and so watch your space in regards to that. Christopher, the time has come. I was going to bring it in, but I didn't.
Oh, well, I was supposed to drink it
I owe
on
you
camera.
a keg. Yeah, you had to scull the keg, remember?
Yeah, that was the
that was part of the deal. No, I went from owing you 8 cartons from the last sort of 12 to 18 months to now we went to double to nothing to a keg. I now owe you a keg because my shit football team
It was a shit
didn't
game.
play as bad as played worse than your shit
It was
football
like
team.
18-0. I thought about messaging you, and I'm like, we've been down this road before. And Talakai had that half of the century.
Yeah, and still got beat. Anyway, last week in the footy, Melbourne beat the Bronx, New Zealand. They went all right and beat Bulldogs. They're not much so. Penrith smashed Sydney. That was massive. Did you see that?
Flogged them.
Like 48-4.
How inconsistent have Penrith been this year? Like,
They're back now.
Well, they're the opposite to what you thought. You just thought they were just going to be that juggernaut, just carry on from last year.
Yeah, I think that's what it'll be from now on, though.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a Penrith South grand final. That's why it looks anyway, unless the Dolphins can get a little
So you
slippery
just
way
the
in.
Broncos just writing them off.
Yeah, they won't make it through the semis.
Yeah, right.
That's my opinion.
Why is that?
Because Reynolds is injured. He's there.
Yeah, but he's only out
coach
for
on the field.
How long's he out for?
Yeah, but he's getting old. Once you get injured once, you
that
keep
looks
going.
like nothing, didn't it?
Did.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
just head plant, the old face plant, the old grass trick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just get up and
It was scary. It was like, fuck, like,
he didn't move.
serious.
And then North Queensland beating the Dragons, and obviously the Dragons were shit anyway. But North Queensland, they're an up and down, aren't they? Like one week they score 1 point, the next week they score 42. And Sticky Ricky.
It's been a bit like the whole league this year has been a bit like
It
that,
has.
hasn't it?
It's been some big scores actually, but even like Newcastle beating the Titans 46-24. Like the Titans are back.
Have you seen that?
Back to
Weird,
their shit
do you see that
football.
weird stat?
What's that?
The Titans have scored 26 points in the last 5 or 6 games.
No.
26 points every week.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant total.
Yeah, I did say that.
No, they had scored exactly 26
The
points.
same.
Yeah.
They just can't
So
get past
they've
it.
just got to defend better.
Just
Then.
got to make sure the other team does.
Yeah, a few of the other teams. Come on, boys, we've only got to score 26.
28 points, and we got this.
And then obviously, your lot beat my lot. But the biggest win of the weekend, mate, was Finns up again. Dolphins had the bye.
They had the bye.
So they're back in happening. I only got 5 last week. What'd you go? How'd you go on your tips, boys?
I got 6.
I plummeted down the leaderboard now to 8th. I was coming 3rd the other week. But, yeah, no, it's not good. I mean, 59, one bloke's on 59, a few on 58, we're on 57.
I got 6, actually.
Where are you sitting?
32nd.
On fire.
What are you on, Brett?
57 points.
Yeah, I'm on 57 too.
Yeah, so you would also be equal 5th. Or
Well, not in my little thing. I'm in 11th of 87,
That's not bad.
or 28,906.
I was just about to say.
Of
Of the overall.
26,000.
See, I'm 28,741st.
How are you? Were you on like countback or something? You're
I
like
must-
200.
I must
What's
be.
your team name?
Mine. How do I find that?
Mine's Fat Men Are Harder to Kidnap.
Where do you find your name? I don't know.
Where do you
High
find your
tech on the ESP and footy
Me.
tip and comp.
name?
Anyway, moving on, lads. We got Brisbane versus Penrith. What do you got in Brisbane on a Thursday night?
Penrith.
Yeah, I'm with Penrith too.
Oh, really?
Penrith for $1.37. You got Brisbane.
Mm.
Dragons versus Sydney Roosters. I'm actually on the Dragons because normally what happens when a coach gets sacked, they come out. But actually, it's the Dragons.
Who's been named the caretaker?
Whoever his assistant was, some bloke I'd never heard of. Like, it's not even like a Riles or someone like that. It was some rando. So, Sydney Roosters or Dragons, what do you got?
I've got Sydney Roosters.
Okay, well, anyone with the Dragons, watch me get 8. South Sydney versus Para. South Sydney should shit that in. Para suck. Sharks, Newcastle. Sharks. West Tigers, North Queensland. There's a interesting game.
North Queensland.
You don't think the Tigers will win anymore?
No.
They're done. They're done for the year.
Speaking of the Tigers, did you see about the Blue Wiggles come out?
He wants to buy them, doesn't he?
Yeah, he wants to buy them and bring back Balmain.
What's the Blue Wiggles name?
Well, it's not Jeff.
No, it's
That's the purple one.
it's the only one that
yellow one,
stayed.
isn't it?
No, he was
yellow's-
purple. Jeff was
yellow's
purple.
Greg.
Yeah.
I don't know my
The Wiggles.
Wiggles. Yeah, surprisingly not.
Here's a surprising number for you. So the Dolphins are playing the Storm, and it's at Suncorp at $2.70. Dolphins are. I imagine at the start of the season, what the book would have been on
Oh yeah.
Melbourne versus the Dolphins, it would have been like $8.
Oh,
It's,
done so well, haven't they?
I'm picking the Finns. We're going Finns up.
yeah, I got
against
Finns. Yeah.
I'm going Storm.
Bulldogs Titans. That's going to be the shittest game of the history of the world.
Titans.
Yeah, Titans. I don't want to pick him, but
Is old mate back? The winger?
I don't know.
They said they were going to name him, but we didn't know whether he'd play. I can't pick the Bulldogs. And then Canberra, Manly. I'm going to have to pick Manly, but Canberra's going to fucking
Canberra's
stomp
gonna
that in.
Yeah.
Go the Raiders.
Go the Raiders. Go the Milk. Anyway, moving on. So, NRL season, good, bad, or ugly? What do you reckon so far?
Loving it.
I think
Yeah, I think it's one of the best seasons I've seen.
Yeah,
for
I reckon
years.
it's been a beauty.
It's been awesome.
Because you can watch any game, you don't really know like who's going to actually win it, and then the scores are like everyone's just scoring tries.
Mm.
It's
Oh,
been
it's been
an
a
absolute cracker. Absolute cracker. So AFL, obviously Rob's not here this week and he's our man on the ground. How was the game you went to, Christopher?
It was good for the first 2 quarters.
And then went to shit?
Went to shit, yeah.
How many did they lose by?
Gonna say 6 goals.
6 goals.
Yeah, 35, 40 points.
We said that, didn't we? I think last week if we watched the tapes back,
I said 12.
Yeah, I think we went 5 or 6 goals. So I'm
but
coming 22nd in that at a 27th.
It was pretty annoying that an ex-Essendon player kicked 7 goals.
That's always dirty, isn't it?
Yeah. And I was sitting next to a Brisbane Lions fan, which...
Rob?
No. A mate of mine came up from Melbourne for the game.
Oh, did he? A Snake, wasn't it?
Snake, yeah. And he was just fucking loving life.
Into you, was he?
Yeah. Piece of shit. He was standing up and fist pumping every time I scored goals.
I hate that.
That's a lot of fist pumping.
And even one good result for me was I walked into the game. I said, I'm going to hear this country road song because every player that kicks a goal, they've all got their own song. And Charlie Cameron's got this country road.
Take me home.
I'm going to fucking hear this song like 13 times tonight. And the whole crowd sings it like, fuck this. He didn't kick 1 goal.
Oh, didn't he? So he didn't have to hear it.
Awesome. And that was the only thing I was cheering towards the last quarter. Like,
you were singing the song yourself.
Every time the ball went near, like, don't fucking kick it. And so that was good.
But other than that, it was a pretty shit round because the Swans lost again.
Then we walked to the Story Bridge and got on the beers. That was good.
How many beers did you have? More than goals than Essendon kicked?
Yeah, absolutely. Enough to get a kebab at late night kebab.
That's a lot of beers.
Kebab with chips and a Coke.
Oh, so you next morning you would have been fine.
Well, I woke up on the couch.
Yeah? Because you got home and you thought,
well,
really
I
good idea.
didn't
I'll flick the telly on.
I didn't come back to the coast. I stayed up in Brizzy.
Yeah.
But got home. I'll eat me kebab in front of the TV.
Flick the telly on. Did you finish the kebab? Or did you wear it?
Watched a bit of the IPL. I finished the kebab, didn't finish the chips, and it was in one of those, the foil bags.
So it leaked through?
You'd eaten bits of foil and shit. And
it was. I've woken up the next morning. It was standing up, and I look in. There's just like 300 mils of oil. Half a bag of chips.
You know you've had a big night when you're on the couch and you haven't even got a missus.
You haven't even been sent there. Yeah. You send yourself to the couch.
Yeah. But and then so I woke up the next morning. It escaped my mind, but it was Mother's Day, and I said to Snake, "Oh, we'll go get brekkie somewhere."
Was Mum home or was she travelling?
She's travelling.
Yeah.
But fucking every joint was just rammed.
Oh, would have been.
Oh, and like with kids taking their mums out.
Yeah.
So all you need screaming kids with your hangover. Wow, that's no good.
So I had 2 double espressos and
got on with it.
And then ended up going to the VFL, which was out Springwood Way.
Mate, what a mission that joint is to get to.
That's a good place. Fuck, it's good.
It's
I was talking to Rob about it. They got gifted the land.
Yeah.
It cost them $45 million to build. But
Wow.
one of their sponsors is a building company. So
that's always handy.
Yeah, it's top notch, the facility. And Bombers got flogged by like 75 points.
So it's just like a great
afternoon.
weekend all around. And you lose on the punt as well, just to make things better.
I had a bet Thursday night. Yeah, did no good and didn't have a bet the rest of the weekend.
Oh, that's not good. How about you, Smokes? Got any fights coming up? Any of the boys fighting at Matrix?
The boys, there's a few fights. I think they're in the middle of picking some more fights for the next promotion. So I think Lockie's locked in to fight.
Yeah, for a Queensland title.
The
is that his title fight?
Yeah, the Queensland title fight.
Yeah. I think it's in July 8.
And then there's a couple. Yeah, Leo Grant, Queensland light heavyweight champion. He's looking to go around again. He's presently in holiday in Scotland, so not sure what state he's going to turn up from.
It might be a heavyweight bout.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah. But he's epic, and then we've got another one, Hayes Haria, who's I think he'll go around as well. So he's one who might sort of end up being another Queensland champion from the gym. So
that's good. They're going well.
Yeah, they turn out some good fighters.
What do you think about all these celebrity fights? Oh, is that what we're going to call them? Celebrity fights?
YouTubers.
Yeah, the YouTube guys, like KSI and stuff.
I tell you, like, it's interesting. They really divide opinion, don't they?
But they do, yeah.
I think some of them go all right. I mean, I'm not...
From a technical point of view.
No, some of them go all right. Like, Jake Paul's okay. He's okay. That KSI, he looks like he's okay. I mean, some of them
Throws a mean elbow.
yeah. Well, some of them are absolute plums, aren't they? But that's what you'd expect. So,
Yeah.
But why are they fighting the ex-UFC fighters?
well, because they've got a
Because
profile.
they're not the best boxer.
They've got to have some legitimacy to it as well.
Oh, okay. So it
Like,
gives them
no one's
legitimacy
going
to
to watch
fight.
me and you fight.
Well, actually, the
I would.
Well, yeah.
Fucking hell.
But if
That'd be
you-
but only
the
if we're
best.
in jelly.
Only if you're in G-strings. Yeah.
Jelly.
With
Yeah,
swimming caps on.
But if someone has some fighting profile,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah, of course. So I think the thing is a lot of the public can't make the differential between a UFC.
He just said this, well,
said
didn't he?
cunt.
Exactly.
Did I?
Yeah.
Can't make the differential between they just see fighting and they
Yeah,
think fighting.
yeah.
But the UFC striking is unique. So when I went from boxing to MMA, it's very different. You've got to consider the possibilities of missing a punch when you're in an MMA fight, because if you overthrow a punch,
They're going to throw you on your ass.
you can get taken down,
Yeah.
and that's a consideration. So you're throwing shots, and whilst it looks very similar to the onlooker, it is quite different. So
Mhm.
I think boxing is a large part of MMA, but it's not.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just one of 6 or 7 skills.
And normally
so.
you're either a striker or a wrestler or a judo person that's actually then got the other skills, isn't it? Okay, it's interesting. No,
so-
I just find it like that KSI thing. My kids were all over it. Like they wouldn't normally watch a boxing fight unless I was.
No.
But they're going, Dad, did you see KSI knocked out that bloke?
Yeah,
And then he
100%.
comes about half an hour. He did it with his elbow. It was
Yeah.
like, it's rigged, the whole thing. And it was just so interesting just to see their reactions to, I suppose, bringing a different audience to
So
the
for
sport.
me, I've got much of the similar opinion to that sort of stuff. As I just think that because I think there's so many things out there taking our kids away from sport. We've got Xbox, we've got other distractions, social media, what have you. So Richie Beno once said the best thing. He was a great man.
Do it
but,
in his voice. Come on.
we played that game. You guys might remember that game when Muralitharan got called for chucking.
Chaka. Yeah.
So he got called for chucking. It was a really nasty game. There was Goffey headbutted Russian Mahanama. There was a lot of bad. It was bad. Well, I would traditionally consider a bad advertisement for the game.
Yep.
So the next day we're flying from Adelaide over to Perth to play another game, and I was just in the lounge with Richie Beno, so I didn't get many opportunities to speak to him, but I was a bit lost for words. A great man. I said, "Oh, what did you make of last night's game?" And he was like, "Marvellous." I think it's the first impersonation of Richie Beno I've ever done. Marvellous. And I said, "Oh, right, okay." And he said, "Anytime our game is on the front page,
Yeah.
it's good. So, albeit it's in bad light, it's something that's taken politics or
Off the front
finance off the
page.
front page, and it's an advert. And that's much the same way I think about the boxing.
Yeah, very cool.
So it's advertising the sport and bringing it to the forefront. Anytime we can do that and get away from the gun laws, stuff going on in
the US
America,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
Oh, that's awesome. What do you think, Christopher? Do
Yeah, I don't mind it.
you like watching it?
I wouldn't pay for any of it.
Are you wanting the YouTuber to get punched in the head?
Yeah.
Because that's your type of.
Yeah. I want to see. I say, well, like everyone wants them to fight someone good,
Yeah.
and put in their place, basically. So yeah, that's what I'd want to see.
And then if they come out and beat it, they then get fully legitimised. don't they?
KSI and Tommy Fury walked into the ring after the fight, and they went toe to toe. Like that's the next one I'd want to see, because I don't think he's got any desire to like try and fight for world titles. Tommy Fury.
He's not good enough to do that.
So just clean up.
Yeah,
clean up
100%.
the YouTubers and get your money.
100%. And he's going to get more money.
Go through them all. Well, because they're putting up big purses.
He's
aren't
going to get more money for fighting KSI than he's ever going to get for fighting the number one guy in Britain who no one
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
So and every boxer in the history of the world has done it.
they? No, good on them.
If you
I
get
reckon.
offered $1 million to fight me or $1 million to fight Mike Tyson, you're going to take me, or like $500,000 to fight Mike Tyson.
I'm going to take the $1 million.
Of course,
Yeah.
and that's just that. And if you get the opportunity to fight a YouTuber for more money than against someone who's better for less,
And the thing is, your
it's just-
profile bill goes up as well.
That's
So you
100
get
everything.
both.
And I
both
think
parts of that.
people understand the difference between this and normal boxing. Like it's still the same sport, but then if you watch actual good technical boxers, like one of my favourite boxers to watch is the Gypsy King, because he looks like every other bloke, but he moves like he's a fucking dancer.
Yeah,
He's
incredible.
fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
Incredible.
can watch him. I don't even need to watch the other guy. I
Yeah.
just
No,
watch
he's
him
beautiful.
float around and move and
He's-
absorb everything. Like, I think people understand that's real boxing, and this is just hit and giggle.
No, there's a difference.
But even when you watch boxing in the Olympics and stuff like that, like the actual just the technical moves and that sort of stuff, it's pretty like intriguing how all that puts together.
Yeah, there is a big difference between
The,
In
the
general.
amateurs and pros.
But I think that Logan Paul, and that kid can fight. I don't
Yep.
care what anyone says. I know he hasn't. Granted, he hasn't fought. But what guy having their first 6 professional fights do? Lennox Lewis, after winning the gold medal in the Olympics, the first 6 guys he fought, you guys could have beaten them.
Yeah.
But that's just what they do.
To get their numbers up.
Yeah,
Well, it's
yeah.
interesting because Logan Paul signed a multi-million-dollar deal with the WWE after all that. And like even that, you've got to be an athlete. Like it's not
100%.
something that you can just go into as a fat YouTuber.
No.
But interestingly, I saw something on the line, and it was some bloke rocked up at his house, and then he ended up fighting him for his missus. Did you see that?
No?
So some bloke's rocked up at Logan Paul's house and rang on the doorbell and said he was dressed up as like the guy out of Rocky with the blonde hair, Ivan Drago. So he had Drago shorts on, and he's coming. He goes, "I want to fight you," and he's just there like taking the piss.
So it was a setup, or
I reckon it was, but then he goes, "Mate, the only way I'm going to fight you, whoever wins gets your missus, right?" And the guy's gone home, he's chatting to her and stuff like this, and he's coming in and
Jake Paul's missus.
Logan Paul's missus.
Oh, Logan Paul's missus. Sorry.
No, the other way. So the Ivan Drago had his missus with him.
Oh, okay.
And they fought for his missus, and Paul knocked him out, and he's going, "Yeah, you can keep your missus." Make her feel good about it. But yeah, well worth watching. Anyway, the way we finish this up each week is with our trivia. I've got 4 for you this week. What diameter of a basketball hoop in inches? How big is it? It fits 2 full balls in next to each other. There you go.
No, it's
I
not.
didn't think I would do that. Yeah, basketball hoops do, yeah.
Is that right?
2 full-size basketballs.
When I shoot, it feels like it's tiny.
Exactly. So how big do you reckon it is?
Phew.
In inches?
21.
Yeah.
18.
All right.
Close.
It's still a big hole. What sport is known as the king of sports? I got this wrong.
Horse racing?
Polo.
Soccer.
No,
No.
it's not.
That's what it says
I
here.
thought it was, is that? Oh, no. Really?
It's not the sport of kings, it's the king of sports. Just remember, it's the sport of kings, better than diamond rings. What's the national sport of Canada?
Ice hockey.
No,
Curling.
lacrosse.
True.
And what country has competed the most times in the Summer Olympics but has never won a gold medal?
Oh. Jeez.
Cyprus.
Samoa.
The Philippines.
Never.
Never won a gold medal.
I would not have. I would have thought they'd have won something. I got a full house.
Jeez.
All 4 wrong.
I thought you were going to claim. You're going to claim your 1/16th Philippine.
And I've never won a medal, so there's still one
So
nothing.
you're in there. Who won the most Grand Slams, Venus or Serena?
Serena.
Yeah, she smashed it, didn't she?
I've got a Guatemala question for you.
Okay.
They've won 1 medal at the Olympics, Guatemala, as a country.
Yep,
What medal was it?
I know.
And for what sport? And shut up, because I told you the other day.
It has to be a long distance running.
Long distance walking.
Yeah, right.
20K walk.
I knew it would be something to take advantage of their altitude.
20K walk, they won a silver.
Yeah, right.
How many medals did China win in the Beijing Olympics?
Oof, a lot. 140.
That's a lot of medals.
Yeah, but gold, silver, and bronze,
100.
right? Yeah,
100
okay.
exactly.
100 on the stutter.
How many golds?
Doesn't say.
Shit question.
What's a shit question? Last one. Hang on, I can find a good one. What colour are the goalposts in football, as in American football?
White.
Yellow.
Yeah, they're yellow. Boom, boom. You win. Anyway, boys, what's on this weekend, sport-wise? You're going Friday night to the Rollers game. Well done.
And then Saturday, the
Seahawks.
So I've got 2 nights of basketball.
2 nights of basketball this week, and we've got a card trading show on Saturday.
Fuck yeah, Jesus, yeah. Basketball, trade show, basketball, and then the yard opens Thursday.
And the yard opens Thursday night. What do you got?
So I got the Broncos and the Panthers up on Thursday night, up in Brisbane, and then the boys have got game of footy. Well, Addison hasn't. Poor little Tacker's got a stress fracture in his back.
Oh,
So he's out, mate. He's out for
Gone?
12 weeks.
Wow.
So
He must be
He's
hating
going to
that.
be climbing up the
Oh.
walls.
So we're trying to I'm speaking to the doctors to see what we can get him to do otherwise, because he's a pain in the ass at the best of times without having that burning that.
Time to reinvest in Pokemon.
Yeah, or go, hey, Mum, do you mind looking after Tacker for a little while?
Oh, exactly.
Take him to
Good
the
time
UK
do we go
with
to the UK?
Yeah,
Take him with you.
Yeah.
that's a great idea. Put him on a plane for 24 hours. You'd love that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it'd be great to sit beside, wouldn't he?
Well, we're going to trade. I'm in Melbourne for the rest of the week doing some stuff down there, and then we've got basketball Friday night. We've got basketball Saturday. We've got basketball fucking the whole time. It's just going to be one of those weekends, I think. And then a trade show on Saturday. But the yard opens officially this Thursday night. It's at 2389 Gold Coast Highway at Mermaid Beach here on the Gold Coast. Come and say hello. If you're the scientist that watches this, then come and tell everyone about Chris and how stupid that he doesn't realise the scientist that
This
watches.
is a scientist show, quite
It
clearly.
is a
Scientist
scientist.
that turns up
It's
to
like,
the
what
yard,
was
they
that
get a
sh-
free drink from my keg.
Exactly, there you go,
There
from
you go.
Chris's
They
keg.
can have your keg. That's how confident I am. We've got fuck all scientists watching.
All good, boys. Have a good weekend. We'll see you soon. And Rob, come back soon. We need some balance in this podcast.
Don't come back, bro.
See you, boys.